A commodity economy inevitably creates competition among commodity producers, inequality, the bankruptcy of some, and the wealth of others. Vladimir Lenin. The commodity economy is like a great river flowing ceaselessly, carrying with it both fertile silt and jagged stones. In it, the commodity producers are boats drifting amid the current. Those who paddle skillfully advance far, while those who lag are swept back into the whirlpool. The essence of the commodity economy is competition, an invisible race where intelligence, creativity, and labor become weapons for survival. Competition is not a bad thing. It is the heartbeat of the economy, the breath that keeps society in constant motion, innovation, and progress. But alongside the light comes shadow, where some rise brilliantly, others fall silently. Inequality is inevitable, for as the economic wheel rolls forward, it always leaves behind marks of difference. Some grow rich through talent and opportunity, others lose everything just by being one step slow. Yet behind it all lies a natural law, like a lush forest, where tall trees reach for the sun, while small ones huddle in the shade, awaiting another chance to grow strong. The beauty of the commodity economy lies in this. It never stands still. Those who fail today may succeed tomorrow if they learn from their own fall. Competition does not merely eliminate the weak. It forges willpower, drives people to create, and compels them to constantly improve. In that whirlwind, people learn the most precious lesson. To live, one must rise. To survive, one must change. The commodity economy creates not only material wealth, but also the spirit of progress, the invisible force that helps society develop. Inequality may be a pain, but it is also the motivation for people to strive toward greater fairness. For when one door closes, those who dare to rise from the ruins will be the ones to open a new future. In economics, nothing is mysterious or beyond the grasp of ordinary people. If there is a mystery, it lies in the hidden purpose that economists pursue, and this is nothing other than concealing the specific interests they serve. Arturo Jauretche. In the world of economics, every law can be explained by reason, by numbers that seem cold but reflect the deep essence of humanity. Economics is not magic, not a mystical land reserved only for scholars. In truth, it is merely a mirror reflecting the desires, calculations, and dreams of each person in society. But what makes economics seem mysterious lies not in formulas or models, but in the heart, in the true purpose of those who wield it. Economists are like storytellers in the shadows. They use flowery words like growth, efficiency, free market to paint a picture that seems perfect. But behind every word flows a current of interests, silent, subtle, and sometimes full of calculation. Economics, in the hands of the powerful, becomes a tool to justify the wealth of a few, while the majority still struggle in their daily grind. The mystery we see is actually a veil over interests. It is not hard to understand, but cleverly concealed like moonlight shrouded by clouds, making people look up in wonder at the illusion. But when the wind clears, everything becomes bright. When people realize that every policy, every economic theory serves someone, they will no longer fear complexity, but will learn to ask, who benefits? Economics returns to its true nature, not a game for the wise, but the voice of life, of labor, of humanity. Understanding this, we no longer see economics as mysterious, but as a map where those who hold the true goal are the ones who shape the future. One can save in any circumstance, but provide the sick with what is necessary. Don Bosco. Saving is a precious virtue, the seed of wisdom and sustainability in life. Those who know how to save are not stingy. They understand the value of every coin, every drop of sweat. Saving teaches us to cherish effort, to think of the future, and to distinguish true needs from frivolous desires. It is like a small lamp, in the night humble light, but guiding through life's many storms. Yet saving does not mean rigidity or indifference. When facing the pain of the sick, the fragility of human life, every petty calculation becomes meaningless. At that moment, compassion must outweigh all material concerns. Money can be saved, wealth rebuilt, but a life lost never returns. Providing the sick with what they need is not wasteful spending, but a noble act. For in that help, we save the most precious thing in life, humanity. True wisdom lies not in how much we keep, but in knowing when to hold and when to give. Saving is the foundation of sustainable living. Kindness is the soul of existence. When the two blend as one, people not only live rightly, but beautifully, like a small flame, enough to light one's path and warm others. The art of economics consists in looking at the further effects of any act or policy, not merely its immediate consequences. In tracing the consequences of such a policy, not only for one group, but for all sectors. Henry Hazlitt. An economic policy, though as small as a grain of sand, can create ripples spreading across the ocean of life. True economists thus count not just today's profits, but listen to the pulse of tomorrow. For the greatest danger is not miscalculation, but short-sighted vision. A policy that seems to bring immediate benefits may smile on one group today, but sow tears for thousands tomorrow. The art of economics is seeing what has not yet happened, understanding the invisible links between present and future, individual and community. Artists use brushes to paint emotions. Economists use intellect and conscience to paint society's picture. Every decision, every number they put forth, touches the lives of millions. Without a holistic view, that art becomes a tool of selfishness. But guided by wisdom and humanity, it becomes light for fairness and sustainable development. The art of economics, in the end, is a lesson in responsibility, seeing the iceberg's submerged part, knowing that behind every policy lies real human lives. When people think beyond themselves, economics truly becomes a culture, a human value, not just a game of profit. Consulting the experts of the International Monetary Fund is like going to a store with the seller's shopping guide, Arturo Jauretche. But looking closer, behind that professional veneer lies a subtle bias. Advice stems not from the listener's needs, but the speaker's interests. Going to the store with the seller's shopping guide, that is a satirical yet truthful metaphor. The seller always wants us to buy what benefits them, not necessarily what is best for us. Similarly, the IMF, under the guise of development support, often gives economic recommendations designed to protect the interests of financial powers more than those of nations needing to forge their own path. This saying does not wholly deny international expertise, but warns of independence in economic thinking. A nation seeking strength cannot rely solely on maps drawn by others, for even the most beautiful map may lead us astray into serving someone else. In essence, economics is not just math and theory. It is the art of choice, balancing interests and dignity, short-term and long-term. So instead of holding the seller's guide, write your own based on experience, wisdom, and national aspiration. Then advice becomes mere reference, not an invisible chain binding our future. The key factor determining your financial future is not the economy, but your philosophy of life. Jim Rohn. In the fierce whirl of the global economy, many blame circumstances, unfavorable markets, tough times, scarce opportunities. But the deeper truth is that each person's financial future lies not in the economy's hands, but in their own life philosophy. The economy may change, but those with a solid philosophy are never swept away. Life philosophy is the compass guiding every action, every spending decision, investment, and approach to money. Those with the right philosophy know money is a tool, not a measure of life's value. They understand creating value before accumulating wealth. They invest in knowledge, health, trust, and decent relationships, things no economic crisis can take away. Conversely, those without philosophy chase numbers forever, like a kite caught in the wind. When markets rise, they grow greedy. When they fall, fearful. Their finances fluctuate with external changes, for inside they have nothing solid. Thus, true wealth is not how much money in the account, but how much right thinking in the soul. A wise life philosophy helps people control money instead of letting money control them. The economy may turn, markets reverse, but those with the right philosophy will always find the way up in any circumstance. For economics reflects the outer world. Life philosophy reflects inner strength, and that strength is the most enduring capital for any financial journey in life. Economics is a narrative discipline and very prone to making explanatory statements. Nassim Taleb. It is not just the science of laws, but the art of words, where each theory is a story, each chart a slice of life. Precisely because it is narrative, economics easily becomes fertile ground for explanatory statements, sometimes true, sometimes half-true, sometimes just clever varnish over reality's complexity. A failed policy can be explained as due to circumstances. A social injustice interpreted as a natural market outcome. Those explanations, though seemingly reasonable, are sometimes the language of power cloaked in academia. Economics is thus both mirror and story. It reflects reality, but can also shape how people view it. An honest economist knows their narrative is never perfect for economics. In the end, speaks not just of money and goods, but of people with all their complexity, emotions, and contradictions. Understanding economics is not memorizing formulas, but listening to the stories hidden behind the numbers. When stories are told with heart, economics becomes close, humane, and real. When told with interests, it becomes logical sophistry. And that is the miracle yet fragility of economics. It can be light illuminating truth, or a mirror reflecting only what people want to see. What we have created is an extortion economy where the rich get richer, the poor starve, and clearly no one cares when we call it democracy. We live in a system where human value is measured by wealth, where the voices of the weak are drowned in a sea of words like democracy, freedom, development. But behind those slogans, invisible hands still choke the lives of those with nothing to trade but their labor. The rich use money to buy power, then power to protect money, a closed circle, while the poor spin outside, no escape. And the bitterest part, we call it democracy. A democracy where the crowd's silence becomes complicity, where injustice is made up with the language of law and market. We praise freedom of choice, but forget that, for the poor, the only choice is sometimes to live or die in silence. Yet amid that dark picture, a glimmer of light, the light of awareness. When people dare name the truth, dare stare at injustice, that is the first step of change. True democracy lies not in voting rights, but in the right to be heard, the right to live with dignity. If economics is rebuilt on compassion instead of greed, on sharing instead of extortion, then democracy will cease to be a mask and become the true face of a just society. When the economy slows, entrepreneurial spirit is spurred like a wood stove, well stocked on a freezing winter night. When the economy booms, money flows strong, people easily get swept into comfort and stability. But when the machine slows, when great doors gradually close, brave souls begin opening their own small paths. Entrepreneurial spirit, the instinct for creation, adaptation, and risk-taking is awakened, like gathering wood in winter, igniting the fire and keeping it burning. In crisis, people rediscover drive, passion, and wisdom to survive. Hardship does not kill creativity. It only tests its vitality. True entrepreneurs are born not in the warm spring of economy, but in the harsh winter of trials. Precisely when everything halts, they see opportunity like a fire starter, knowing one small spark can light the whole house. The economy's slowdown is not just a sign of weakness, but a moment of transformation. It is when people learn to trust themselves, create their own jobs, light their own lives. Like a wood stove in winter night, the entrepreneurial flame not only warms the one who kindles it, but brings warmth to those shivering outside. For in the end, crisis is the enemy of the fearful, but a companion to those who know how to start anew. Every government intervention in the economy involves granting an undeserved benefit extracted by force to some at the expense of others. Ayn Rand, when government intervenes, money does not appear from thin air. Every coin spent on subsidies, bailouts, or market adjustments must come from someone's pocket, and that someone is often ordinary workers, taxpayers, those without decision power but bearing the consequences. Meanwhile, the beneficiaries are often powerful groups, big businesses, the connected or prioritized industries in clever ways. This does not wholly deny the state's role, but raises issues of ethics and fairness in intervention. For if intervention lacks transparency, it is no different from forced redistribution of benefits, where the state becomes a bridge, transferring wealth from the weak to the strong, while cloaked in public interest. Like a chessboard, every policy move shifts interests. When the player lacks integrity, the economic board becomes a game of manipulators. The people, small pieces, only move on command, unaware they are sacrificed to protect a few kings and queens at the center. This is not against government, but awakening citizen awareness. Look at each policy's essence. Ask, who truly benefits? Only when people understand the flow of interests and costs can the economy escape the shadow of coercion and draw closer to the light of true fairness and freedom. It is better to secure a profit than to earn £1,000. Robert Louis Stevenson. Earning £1,000 may be luck, the result of a short deal, a rare chance, but without a solid foundation, that money slips away like sand through fingers. Conversely, knowing how to secure profit means understanding the laws, controlling risks, and building a long-term earning system. That is the difference between a lottery winner and one who masters their financial fate. In business, true value lies not in today's numbers, but in tomorrow's disciplined repetition. One steady profit coin means more than thousands earned and lost. For economics, in the end, is not a sprint, but a long journey where stability, patience, and vision are the keys to success. A life lesson. Certainty in ability matters more than temporary results. What people need is not a miracle to get rich once, but wisdom to never be poor again. Securing profit is not just a financial principle, but a life philosophy, nurturing, protecting, and growing what you have, instead of chasing the glamour of short victories. For sometimes, a small steady stream is worth more than a passing heavy rain. Scarcity determines the price of everything. Petronius. In this world, all value stems from a seemingly simple yet profoundly deep law: scarcity. When something becomes rare, people begin to crave, seek, and trade to possess it. Value thus lies not just in the material itself, but in how often we can touch it. Imagine a drop of water in a parched desert is worth more than gold. A warmth in bitter winter can equal a treasury. A sincere smile amid life's falsehoods can make hearts tremble. It is absence that turns the ordinary into priceless. Scarcity is not just a market law, but a law of emotions and life. When we have too much, we take it for granted. When lost, we realize how precious it was. A word of love, said daily out of habit, may fade, but when rare, it becomes a flame warming the heart. The price of everything, in the end, is a mirror reflecting how much people cherish it. Scarcity creates value, while the human heart creates meaning. Cherish the simple things, and we realize no need to wait until loss to regret. For often, the most precious lies not in quantity, but in presence at the right moment.